Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major update today from Vivek Ramaswamy that you do not want to miss. A massive, massive win coming from Vivek Ramaswamy. So many of you have messaged me saying that your investments are up thousands of dollars. We are now running a 90% off sale on the Invest Like Trump program. The link is below, or you can type in theFinanceZone.org, and when you sign up, you will get up to $1,000 in bonus stocks inside the program. Okay, so here's Vivek Ramaswamy coming out to address the nation, talking about socialist policies and why the midterm elections are so important. He says this is a choice between success and failure. Comment below, will you be voting in the midterms? Will you be voting Republican, or will you be voting Democrat, or for an independent? Let's tune in, my friends.
Now, Ohio Republican gubernatorial nominee Vivek Ramaswamy is here with reaction to all of this. You know, I watched the whole decline now of the Democratic Party. They've been co-opted by radicals that want to defund, dismantle the police, etc. They want open borders. It's not in your race, but I'm looking like at the Senate race. Do people in Ohio understand that guys like Sherrod Brown will be forced to go along with that radical base if he ever got elected, God forbid? Do people not understand in Ohio that it's law and order, safety, security, and economics that's going to drive this election?
I think the people of Ohio have good common sense, Sean, but a lot of us here are looking at places like New York and California and Los Angeles and Minnesota and thinking that socialist madness only exists in those states. But I think people in Ohio are starting to wake up to the fact that that's a very real risk, that if we don't get it right this November, that could happen here in Ohio as well. I mean, the opponent I'm running against, this woman, Amy Acton, she has compared law enforcement to the KKK. Apparently that seems to be a common Democrat theme now across the country. But you think about that, that's not who we are. And so this is an important choice, Sean. This is an important moment for Republicans to stand up for the actual values that made this country great. A choice between free enterprise and socialism, a choice between the rule of law and lawlessness, a choice between success and failure. That's what's on the ballot in places like Ohio. And I do think that especially as a lot of core conservatives begin to wake up heading into the election in November, we're going to see a rising tide for Republicans that lifts up not only my race, which I'm not worried about, but also...
Yeah, Vivek's running for Ohio. If you live in Ohio, what do you think about Vivek, guys?
Every Republican down ballot to make sure we stand for what made this country great.
No, I think you're right. Law and order, safety, security is a prerequisite if you want to pursue happiness in your dream in life and whatever God-given talent you have. And the economy is top of mind for everybody. I mean, these are basic core issues. And this is now at the heart of what has taken over what used to be, I guess, an old Democratic Party that has been pushed to the side. And if there are moderate Democrats, they're unwilling to challenge, you know, these democratic socialist beliefs.
Well, the irony, Sean, is that these Democrat socialist policies, and increasingly these are one and the same. We say Democrat socialist, we can just call them the Democrat policies that favor increased government spending to solve all problems, are actually creating problems for the very people they purport to help. What drove that inflation was post-COVID spending, disastrous Biden-era spending policies that caused a lot of the costs of daily living to rise way faster than wages did. And who's hurt by that? The very people that the Democrats purport to represent, hardworking men and women across this country. I think we in the Republican Party have a different way, and it's the way I'm going to lead in Ohio. You want to bring down the cost of those electric bills? Produce more energy. You want to bring down the cost of housing? Let's cut the red tape that stops new home construction, build more homes, including those starter homes for young people. You want to put more money into those healthcare savings accounts and bring down the cost of healthcare? Step up and prosecute the Medicaid fraud, including in states like Ohio, where I will do it and get it done. These are the practical solutions that are actually going to improve people's lives, Sean. The turn to socialism is not the answer.
But, you know, your core message has always been for people to pursue their dream, their God-given talent,
yes,
to have success, that to make, you know, an economy where, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, where everybody will succeed if they're willing to work hard. You know, the idea seems to be lost on these democratic socialists. How do you explain that?
Well, it's up to us, Sean, not to listen and cater to their tune, but to offer our vision of who we are and what we stand for and what made this country the greatest country known to the history of mankind. It is this basic idea that we still call and believe in, called the American dream. I know that exists because I have lived it in this state and in this country.
I actually really like how Vivek is not a politician. He's like a normal business guy who happened to, achieve the American dream. And I think a lot of people don't like him because he's wealthy, but you have to remember, is it better for a wealthy guy to get into politics or for a broke person to get into politics who then uses politics to make a bunch of money? They're a bit compromised. They're going to be willing to take more money from donors. You guys got to remember that. So that's why, just what do you prefer?
And the reason I'm running is that I am grateful to our country for giving me opportunities that would not have been available to a kid like me in any other country on planet Earth. And my message to those who may turn to socialism is someone else's success doesn't take away from your success. It makes you more likely to succeed. We celebrate success in America. That is who we are. And if we remember that, we're going to have another 250 years and then some left to celebrate. That starts with winning this November, and I hope we get the job done here in Ohio.
A true meritocracy.
Wow, so that's amazing, guys. Vivek Ramaswamy running for Ohio governor. Big, big, big race coming up there. I mean, this is a guy who really does want to reinstate the American dream in our country. Take a listen.
I'm in a neighborhood in central Ohio where home prices have more than doubled in the last decade, and property taxes have more than doubled in the last half decade. That's crazy, and it's unacceptable, but I know how to fix it. The number one solution is to cut the red tape that gets in the way of new home construction. 1,500 square foot, 2,000 square foot starter homes, they're not getting built. And the reason they're not getting built is because of the government. That hurts our young people. I want to build more of those homes to make them more affordable for a young man or woman who wants a head start on the American dream. You deserve it. The government's failed you, and it's up to new leaders to fix that for our young people. And I'm going to pair that with the biggest property tax rollback this state has ever seen in our history.
Wow, lowering back property taxes. I would vote for that, guys. Property taxes. I think it's crazy how you never really truly own a house in America because, you're going to still end up paying a bunch of property taxes forever. And then you could end up losing your home if you can't afford the taxes. It's like you already bought the house. Why have to pay more?
We're going to reset the property tax base back to where it was before the end of the pandemic, before those disastrous money printing policies caused home prices to go up and property taxes to go up. That's going to be the biggest property tax relief package in America. That's why I'm in this. I want to fight for you, and I don't just want to fight for you. I want to win for you. And one area where I know we're going to win is bringing down home prices for our young people and bringing down our property tax burden for everybody. Let's get it done.
Wow, that's pretty cool, guys. And here's a really cool moment where Vivek actually talks about his background and everything and what inspired him. So take a listen.
I'll tell you a little bit about my background because I actually do think it's important that people understand it, right? So I was born and raised in Cincinnati. I went to public schools through 8th grade. I went to St. X for high school. I bring up that distinction because of the disparity in how public schools and private schools were treated during COVID. I mean, another example that we could talk about the disparities between county fairs versus BLM protests, curfews after 10 p.m. versus before 10 p.m., whether public schools infected or private schools infected. We'll get to that. But anyway, I've had both experiences in public and private schools. And then I became an entrepreneur. I actually studied molecular biology in college. That was my major. I thought it was so cool to understand how the human body works, to understand the advent of, modern medicine and how we could make people's lives better. That's what I was really passionate about. And after I graduated, I started my job as an investor in the biotech industry, meeting with all kinds of companies, learning what new technologies were out there. And then I eventually started a biotech company called Roivant that ended up developing medicines in the areas that pharma had abandoned. I started that business in 2014. And Stephanie,
I wonder if that's why, people don't like Vivek is because of his background, kind of disrupting the pharmaceutical industry. You know, there's a lot of money involved in all that stuff too, right? I mean, the thing you guys got to remember is President Trump knows exactly what he's doing. This is the art of the deal. And he's literally allowing all of us right now to take advantage of this deal that he's doing with, with Iran, with bombing Iran. I'm personally buying heavy into the market right now, into the stock market, because I know that this is going to pay off long term. And even Trump said that. Take a listen.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up.
And I actually did listen to President Trump, and I did start investing in the stock market. And over the past year, my investments are up over $90,000. If you want to learn how to invest in the stock market, very beginner friendly, step-by-step and easy, you can go to thefinanceZone.org, or if you're watching this on your TV, you can just scan this QR code and get started in a couple of minutes. Even one of you guys messaged me saying that your investments are up over $13,000 after taking the program. And right now, we have a 90% off sale that ends today, up to $1,000 in bonus stocks inside the program. I go over which stocks that Trump has, which stocks that I'm buying, how to set up an account for the very first time, and I also go into depth about how to take advantage of this time we're in while Trump is still president. It's not too late. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy just came out to address the nation in Ohio. This is a very, very powerful speech, and I wanted to listen to some of it with you guys. So let's listen in, guys.
Great to see you. Middletown, thank you for the warm welcome. Excited to bring J.D. Vance back home later today. It's good to see him real soon. Thank you. Thank you, and appreciate the warm welcome here. In politics, we often spend a lot of time talking about what's broken and what needs to be fixed, and we're going to do that. But we can only successfully fix what needs to be fixed if we're first grateful for what we're actually getting right. And I will tell you this, as a father of 3 young kids, 2 of whom I sent off to school this morning before coming here, there is no other country in the world, there is no other state in the world where I would rather be raising those kids than here in the United States of America, right here in our state of Ohio. There's no other country in the world where any of us would rather live than in the greatest country known in the history of mankind. Think about the people you're hearing from today. Lorenzo Goncalves, who we all should celebrate this man, making $1 billion investment alongside the U.S. government right here in Middletown. Think of Lorenzo's story. 3 decades ago, boarded a plane with his wife and his kids, and he told me backstage 13 bags, because he didn't want to send them by mail. He wanted to make sure they got here. That was it. Came to this country in the late 90s and lived the American dream to lead one of America's leading steel producers. Think of Bernie Moreno, John Husted, each of whom have lived their American dream, coming from Colombia in Bernie's case, the kid that came out of foster care to be adopted in John Husted's case, both of them now U.S. senators. J.D. Vance from humble beginnings in Middletown, Ohio, now the Vice President of the United States. Their stories are America's stories. My story is America's story. The kid of middle-class parents, a father who worked off the GE plant on I-75 through Jack Welch's layoffs, a mother who took care of nursing home patients in Southwest Ohio and worked at the VA, went to public schools through 8th grade, went on to found successful companies, and now raising my kids in circumstances that my parents would have never imagined possible just a generation ago. And the extraordinary part of that story, and the story of basically everybody you're hearing on this stage today, is that it's really not that extraordinary in the United States of America. This is the country on God's green earth where that story is not only possible, it is normal. And the reason I am running for governor is that I'm on a moral mission to turn that American dream into a reality once again here in our home state of Ohio, because our workers deserve it, because our families deserve it, because you deserve it, because the people of this state deserve it. You work hard, you play by the rules. You deserve to have a good life and dream for an even better life for your kids. The thing that makes Ohio great, and the reason I love this state, is for many other states it might be their mountains or their beaches. For us, it is our people. It is the people of Ohio that I believe make this state special. And what I hope to do in a few short years ahead is to make Ohio the state that Texas and Florida and Tennessee actually look up to, rather than the other way around. To govern Ohio as the conservative state that we actually are. And I do believe this November, we're talking 75 days from now, this November marks a fork in the road for the future of Ohio. It marks a fork in the road for the future of our country. On one hand, on November 4th, we can wake up to an Ohio where you're paying lower electric bills because we are producing more energy here in America and here at home in Ohio. We can wake up to an Ohio where you're paying lower property taxes because we're actually downsizing the layers of government on the back of your citizens. So you get to live in the home that you bought without having to pay an over-abusive rent to a government that isn't actually serving our people sufficiently. Okay? Lower electric bills. Lower property taxes, lower health care expenses through price transparency, and by prosecuting Medicaid fraud by the billions to put that money back in your pockets where it belongs. And schools that actually prepare for our kids to compete in the economy of the future. Math, reading, and writing instead of gender ideology and woke ideology. That's not too much to ask from our schools either. And the beauty of our country is that that choice for Ohio, that choice for the future of our state, that choice for the future of Middletown, that choice for the future of America belongs to nobody else other than to us. To we, the people who create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. This is the year that we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the greatest nation ever known to the history of man. That we celebrate the signing of the greatest mission statement for a nation ever written in human history, the Declaration of Independence. The idea that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the year where it's up to us to make that choice and actually choose. And so, my only ask of all of you here, on my behalf, hopefully as the next governor of this state, on John Husted's behalf, continually as hopefully the next U.S. Senator representing alongside Bernie Moreno this state, my ask on all of our behalf is that you do your part, you come out and vote. Vote 10 times this November, okay? And I don't mean that like some people mean it. I mean you vote once, and everybody in this room, you bring 9 other people from Greater Middletown, from Southwest Ohio, from wherever you are in Ohio. Bring 9 other people out who may not have otherwise voted. And you tell them what we talk about here today. You tell them about how we in the Republican Party are actually going to make their lives continually better, as we already have and will continue to do. And if you all do your part, I promise you that my family and I, the men and women on this stage today, their families and they will do their part to ensure that Middletown's best days, that Ohio's best days, and honest to God, through Ohio, America's best days are actually still ahead of us. Let's win this thing and make Ohio and make America greater than we have ever been. God bless you guys in Middletown, and may God bless our great state of Ohio. Thank you, guys.
Wow, how powerful is that? Now, I wanted to play this clip because apparently Vivek got booed off the stage.
The truth of the matter is, no matter what happens in whichever direction we go, people of my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price. You're a political cretin, and you need to get the fuck out of here.
This is the YAL National Convention. I thought that was extremely rude and disrespectful. This is he didn't say anything wrong. People don't like him. It's okay. In politics, people don't like each other. That's kind of how it works. You like 50% of the people like you, 50% of the people don't like you. When you're giving a speech, just yelling at them, booing them, doesn't help at all, right? He seemed like he was making a good point where he said, look, older people will be fine, but it's going to be the young people you know, that I don't know what he was saying, but Vivek Ramaswamy now, apparently, according to this, has a 73% chance of winning. Let's take a listen to this speech right here, guys.
Income tax down from not just 7 brackets to 2, as the leadership has done, but down to 0 brackets because we're going to get rid of the income tax in this state. 0 income tax in the state of Ohio. It is your money, not the government's. You deserve to keep what you earn. We got to celebrate hard work and success. And if 8 other states have managed to do it, then so too will we here in Ohio. People ask me, how are you going to do it? Well, look, if we're the state that sent somebody to be the first man in the world to walk on the moon, this will not be the greatest challenge that Ohio has ever conceived. End the existent spending and overspending of waste, fraud, abuse in different parts of the state. Take a rational approach to get there. First, eliminating capital gains to allow for business formation. Articulate this to the rest of the country. Let the rest of the country know we're right here. A good governor who can market the state to the nation so people move back, so we have economic growth that allows us to go back to 0 tax. We're going to get there while also bringing down the property tax burden in this state, which has gotten way too high. It is unjustly high in the state of Ohio. There are Ohioans probably in this room and certainly not in this room as well. Even the protesters across the street suffer the same problem, paying as much in the interest payments and principal repayments on your mortgage as you are in your property taxes, which makes you feel like the land you own is just a lease from the government. That's un-American. It's unjust. It is antithetical to the values of Ohio. We will put a ceiling on the percentage of your land that can be assessed as a property tax, because that too is part of what it means to stand for capitalism, success, and private property in our own home state of Ohio. We're going to get that done.
Wow, that's powerful, guys. So what do you guys think about Vivek Ramaswamy? You know, President Trump is very, very on board with this whole, you know, economic movement. And even Trump talked about how well our economy is doing. Take a listen, my friends.
Rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher. In fact, I told people 5 weeks ago, this is a great time to buy. I got criticized for that. Now they don't criticize me anymore. People should have listened. But it's going to go a lot higher. You see, we've never had anything like this happen. It's an explosion.
And I actually did listen to President Trump, and I did start investing in the stock market. And over the past year, my investments are up over $90,000. If you want to learn how to invest in the stock market, very beginner friendly, step-by-step and easy, you can go to theFinanceZone.org, or if you're watching this on your TV, you can just scan this QR code and get started in a couple of minutes. Even one of you guys messaged me saying that your investments are up over $13,000 after taking the program. And right now, we have a 90% off sale that ends today, up to $1,000 in bonus stocks inside the program. I go over which stocks that Trump has, which stocks that I'm buying, how to set up an account for the very first time, and I also go into depth about how to take advantage of this time we're in while Trump is still president. It's not too late.